Welcome to Word of the Day with Comedians. I'm your host, Des Maller, and today my guest is comedian and radio personality from Washington, D.C., Chipp Jones.
Hello.
All right, so what's going to happen is we pick a word, we define it, and then we try to come up with the most ridiculous sentence for that word. And today's word of the day is bamboozle. Bamboozle means to deceive, trick, or confuse. And Chipp, as comedians, I think we're both very familiar with the ability to deceive, trick, and confuse people.
That's true. And having worked in bars and restaurants, you do it all the time, right? You know, it goes back to restaurant days where you're out drinking and somebody wants to go home because they have to work early in the morning. And so you make that deal with them. Look, if you stay out, here's what it is. I'm going to suffer with you. I don't have to work tomorrow, but I'm going to get up at the same time you have to get up, and I'm going to stay up and suffer just like you. So if I can do it, you should be able to do it. Well, I mean, the bamboozling part is that, of course, you get the person to stay out till they have to, like, get ready to go to work. And then when they go to work, you go home and go to sleep.
Before we use bamboozle in a sentence, before we come with that sentence, let's do a little trivia about the word bamboozle. According to Merriam-Webster, a fun fact about the word bamboozle is, in 1710, Irish author Jonathan Swift wrote an article on the continual corruption of our English tongue, in which he complained of the choice of certain words invented by some pretty fellows, as it says. Among the inventions Swift disliked was bamboozle, which was used by contemporary criminals. As comedians, we are different modern-day criminals. Some of us figuratively, some of us, unfortunately, literally. Chris D'Elia. Louis C.K. Bill Cosby. I should stop. Oh, like any of them are going to watch this. Anyway, other than that, the origin of bamboozle remains a mystery, but the word has clearly defied Swift's assertion that is all new affected modes of speech are the first perishing party in any language. It's very funny that an Irish person would complain about words, seeing as most of the Irish language sounds like a garble of words, just happily in its own way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know, as a black comedian, you know, the thing I remember most of bamboozled has got to be Malcolm X. You know, when Denzel gives that speech about how we've been bamboozled, you know, that the American dream is not for us. Yeah, as a black person, you have to watch Malcolm X, not only because it's Malcolm X and that it's Denzel, but it's also a Spike Lee movie. So that's the black cinema triple card right there.
Right. That is
you got to watch that.
All right, so what's on what movies are on the list of required black viewing? Obviously, MLK. I gotta imagine it's Roots.
Roots is you gotta watch the whole series. In fact, the anniversary of Roots was this past week, which I posted about.
I don't know which is worse. If your first introduction to LeVar Burton is Roots, or if it's Reading Rainbow and then you watch Roots. I don't know which is more disappointing to figure out. Like, oh, here's this amazing great slave that overcame all these things. Now he's reading books. Yay, he can read. Or, hey, my book reading pal is now getting beaten.
But then, you know, he also became the blind
Geordie LaForge on Star Trek.
Star Trek, right?
Yes. Which I've had to correct people. They're like, Geordie LaForge was the first black man to fly a spaceship. I'm like, no, engineer, did it. Not a pilot. Not a pilot. Actually.
My joke about that is that that showed progress of black people in space because Geordie LaForge was a black blind guy who was considered a genius, and he didn't play piano or sing at all. So it was like...
Well, also in Star Trek, they also upped the ante because the first black person was Uhura, and she was just, you know, she was basically the phone operator.
That's right.
And now we got the man who is the chief of engineering.
That's it.
All right. So to bamboozle. All right. See, can we use bamboo? It's a verb, so we can be bamboozling.
Yep. Can you be bamboozle-ish?
That Johnny, that little minx, he's such a bamboozleist.
Right, bamboozle-ist, right. Because when you think of bamboozled, you also think of hoodwinked, which that I think comes from the idea of, metaphorically putting a hood over someone's eyes so that they can't see what's going on. But it's like, when I think of bamboozled, maybe tall grass. Someone can't see the truth because of the tall grass. I don't know.
Oh, like the can't see the truth through the trees, which I don't think is how that expression goes.
No. You can't see the forest from the trees. But this,
yes,
you can't. If you're in a field of tall bamboo, you can't really tell where you're going because you can't see the horizons.
Or it comes from the etymology of the word may come from tall grass like that. Someone hiding in the tall grass, and then they jump out and they rob you.
That's it.
So you were bamboozled. I'm the oozler hiding behind the bamboo.
Right. Could be.
All right. So let's see if we can put that in there in context. Somebody was in our sentence. Somebody was hiding behind something. But I guess it's to deceive. Oh, well, I guess if you jump out and scare somebody. Is a form of deception because, dude, I will tell you this. As we both know, because we're now trivia hosts, one of my favorite trivia venues. What I will do in the summertime when they have the big doors and everything open, I will in the middle of around when I'm playing music, I will go over and sneak up and just jump out from the windows to tables near the window. Like, hey, what's up, guys? And it is also my favorite thing to do during trivia. Also, the reason why I need to drink less caffeine during trivia.
That's right.
All right, so let's try. Who is going to be the subject of our bamboozling? Who's going to be our bamboozleist?
Well, and I also had a thought that we could go a different direction, right? Because if we're thinking of it's somebody tricking you behind tall grass, grass could be weed, could be a big bag of weed.
All right, I like it.
And they're bamboozling you because it looks like a big bag of weed, but it's actually oregano.
Oh, the good old spice rack switch.
That's it. You've been bamboozled.
Okay.
There's no grass in there at all. So,
what is the name of a person who would be the type of jerk to slip you a baggie of oregano?
Well, racially speaking, we would say Tyrone, right?
Racially speaking, you can say Tyrone.
Right. That's not to say that there aren't any white Tyrones out there. I don't want to imply.
Well, going back to the Irish, Tyrone is an Irish name, technically, which is, I guess, weird for people to meet white Tyrones. Now that I remember, I met a Asian Tyrone.
Really?
And I was not thrown by it because people can come in all kinds of names. But I did ask him how annoyed with is he that people think that he's not black, or that people are shocked that he's not black.
Right.
And he just went, dude, you don't know. Like, we connected emotionally on a different level with that question when I was like, I'm not going to ask you about the Tyrone Black thing, but I'm going to ask you how mad you are about it. He's like, bro, you just don't even know. Tyrone slipped a baggie of oregano on somebody. So let's see what the sentence is. Somebody's lamenting to their friend that Tyrone slipped them a baggie of oregano.
Yeah. And you can get weed and cookies now too. Mm-hmm.
Modern day weed dealers, they got to compete with the other big pharma weed dispensaries. So they got to offer other things, right?
Right. Or maybe Tyrone owns a shop that's not only a weed shop, but it's also like a vegan sort of place. So he mixes up the weed cookies with the wheatgrass cookies.
Okay. Or what's the most disappointing bite you could? What's the most disappointing way you could eat a chocolate chip cookie? Is if it's oatmeal raisin.
I like oatmeal raisin.
So do I, but for some reason other people hate raisins. I don't know why. Raisins are just grapes concentrated. Right. I'm a fan of them. I don't know how to spell raisin. Every time I write raisin, it's like, that is not how you spell raisin. It's like, well, then just fix it for me, Spelljack.
Why do you spell raisin resin?
All right, Chip. So there we go. Speaking of chips.
Chocolate chips? There you go.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to say it, not for
Right.
me.
I picked up on that.
All right, Chip, now that I think we've gotten to the point, let's go ahead and use the word of a day in a sentence.
Bamboozled. To deceive or trick. That damn Tyrone. He gave me what I thought was a chocolate chip edible, but turned out to be just a regular old oatmeal raisin. I was bamboozled.
All right, now that we have officially accomplished expanding our knowledge with today's Word of the Day with Chipp Jones, I've been your host, Dennis Meyer. Thanks so much for being here, and word up.
Word up.